Former United Nations Secretary General and Egyptian diplomat Boutros Ghali once said, "The next war in the Middle East will not be fought over politics, but over the water of Nile." To some, these words may sound like a prophecy, but to the peoples in Cairo's halls of power, they have long served as a guiding principle of policy. The Nile River, rising from the great mountains of Ethiopia, has flowed for centuries as a blessing that sustains life. Yet this pure source of life has long been turned into a front in a war of jealousy and psychological pressure by rulers downstream who depend on it. Let us pause here and ask ourselves, when will we finally break free from this century-old historical hostility and freely make use of our own natural resources? How can we strengthen our shared peace through dialogue rather than allowing it to be tested through armed conflict? And how can we reverse Cairo's destructive doctrine? We'll return to these questions later. Egyptian politicians, viewing the source of the Nile as a major existential threat, have left no stones unturned in their efforts to claim exclusive control over the Nile. For many years, a covert strategy aimed at weakening our country has been developed within the halls of power in Cairo. There was even a chapter in history when this struggle for control was tested directly on the battlefield. In the 19th century, Khedive Ismail Pasha launched a major campaign to invade Ethiopia, driven by the dream of establishing a greater Egypt. However, at the Battle of Gundet and Gura, he suffered a major and humiliating defeat at the hands of our heroic Ethiopian forefathers. Their extraordinary courage brought Cairo's military ambition to a decisive end. After this historical defeat, however, Egyptian strategists were forced to change their approach. Within Egypt's foreign policy and security establishment, an enduring, largely unwritten principle has persisted for years. A stronger Ethiopia means a weaker Egypt, while a stable Ethiopia represents an existential threat to Cairo. What is remarkable is that although the leaders occupying Egypt's political establishments have changed over the years, Cairo's policy itself has hardly changed at all. Egyptian leaders, including Gamal Abdel Nasser, Hosni Mubarak, and Sisi, both promoted Arab nationalism and armed insurgents in our region, or have worked relentlessly to encircle Ethiopia within a regional security framework by establishing military agreements with countries along the Red Sea and in the downstream Nile Basin. For Cairo's rulers, the Nile is not merely a river. They repeatedly tell the world that it is a matter of their political, economical, and national survival. Yet this is a misleading propaganda narrative. The reality is different. Although roughly 85% of the Nile's water originates in our highlands, Egypt has continued to exert pressure while claiming exclusive ownership of the river's water. So, what is the solution? The national dialogue process we have begun at this time has caused considerable alarm in Cairo, even keeping its leaders awake at night. The reason is simple. If our internal problems, historic grievances, and political differences can be resolved through dialogue around a table, the sound of a gunfire can finally disappear for good. And once the guns fall silent, our country will be able to devote its full capacity, energy, and resources to development and economical growth. When the national dialogue is fully concluded, the opening through which proxy warfare enters our country will be permanently closed. We must therefore recognize that every gunshot fired within our own country ultimately benefits our historical adversaries. This generation has a responsibility to hand the next generation a great sovereign nation, a country whose people are united and reconciled, capable of withstanding external pressure, and worthy of pride of the generations to come.